At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Heidi came into that late hour, and they had slept for 2 hours, and there was silence in the whole house. A trip inside the bathroom, a space and its owner, a task and an ambiguous position inside the bathroom and pipes. She wanted to be, but she couldn't. As if something is holding on to it. She ran to the toilet, screaming like a madman for help. Heidi's parents woke up frightened by Heidi's screaming and ran to her. They knocked on the bathroom door repeatedly, but they only heard their daughter's screams and her frightening howling. Finally, the father broke the door, and to their surprise, the bathroom was completely empty and there was no trace of Heidi. They searched for her in the whole house but to no avail. Finally, they called the police and they came quickly and started searching the house, but they also didn't find anything. Heidi disappeared and vanished completely. But during the search of the police around the house, one of them noticed a sinkhole in the courtyard that the cover had been lifted from it. So the policeman approached and directed the light of his searchlight into the sink, and he was horrified by what his eyes saw, as Heidi was lying at the bottom of that sinkhole as a lifeless body. Her feet up and her head down. Her neck was broken, her eyes were open, staring up in terror, and the most terrifying was her face, as it had completely disappeared, as if someone had completely skinned it. The next day, the news of Heidi's death in her high school spread like wildfire. All the students were terrified when they happened to their classmate, but there were 4 of them who were the most terrifying, especially after they learned that the body had been found in a swallow, so they were sure that her death was neither fate nor destiny. And that it is linked to a horrific crime that was committed with all meanness and contempt several months ago, and its perpetrators escaped punishment. It wasn't long before those 4 students faced the same fate as Heidi. They disappeared one by one and their bodies were found at the bottom of a cesspool. The police were puzzled by these mysterious incidents, as how could someone be dragged through the toilet and then find their body in a sink? It is true that the toilet is connected to the sink, but how can an adult human body pass through the small opening of the toilet? Of course, this cannot happen in the real world that is governed by physical laws related to mass, size and friction, but when it comes to the supernatural world, with jinn, ghosts and evil spirits, everything is possible. And our story in particular has a close relationship with the other world. In order to understand the nature of this relationship. In fact, what happened, it is better for us to go back in time several months, that is, before the murder of Heidi and her classmates, precisely to the moment when a new student joined their high school. That student, whose name was Carmen Winstead, had recently moved to the city from another state due to her father's working conditions. She was a distinguished and well-liked student at her previous school, but she had difficulty adjusting to the new school and could not build friendships with her new classmates easily, and unfortunately for her, after a while, she got to know a group of 5 female students who are distinguished by their beauty, elegance, and high social level, but they are also arrogant, who like to ridicule everyone. Heidi was the leader of that group. Carmen was very happy to join this brilliant group that was the focus of the school's attention, and in an attempt to get closer to her new friends, or rather those whom she thought were her friends, she revealed some of her personal secrets to them, and unfortunately it did not take long for these secrets to become on every tongue inside the school, and Carmen became exposed to ridicule by the rest of the students, and even from the teachers. And when you blame me, Carmen, her friends in that group who were arrogant in revealing her secrets, a quarrel occurred with her that ended with her being expelled from the group and insulting her. Since then, Carmen has been subjected to ridicule and humiliation on a daily basis by the 5 evil students until her life turned into hell. She would leave her books and notebooks in class during recess and come back to find them torn and mutilated with dirty writings and insults, and sometimes she opened her school bag to find that someone had poured a large amount of yogurt inside her. And once they put dog poo in her clothes during sports class, and once they stuck a paper on her back without her noticing it says whore, and they made everyone laugh at her, and they also broke her closet and messed with her private things and scattered it. As if all this harm was not enough to satisfy the arrogance of the girls of the evil group, they wanted to degrade Carmen more, especially after they learned that she had complained to one of the teachers about them. They had the opportunity one day when there was a fire drill inside the school, which required all the students to quickly leave the classroom and gather them in the schoolyard. Here, Heidi had a very evil and infernal idea, and this idea immediately won the admiration of her friends, so they decided to put it into practice. Their goal was to insult Carmen and the mockery of her in front of the whole school, so they took advantage of the hustle and bustle that accompanied the crowding and gathering of students in the schoolyard. After the exercise ended and the students gathered in the courtyard, the principal began calling their names one by one to return to their classes, but when she called Carmen's name, she did not hear an answer, so she repeated the call to no avail. A student from the crowd shouted, "It's in the drain." The school erupted with laughter. Even the principal smiled and said through the microphone, "Come on, Carmen, get out. Stop playing." But Carmen did not go out despite the repeated calls, so the director walked angrily towards the open sewer, and as soon as she looked inside it, she gave a loud scream of terror. Everyone rushed to take a look, and what they saw was really frightening. They saw Carmen lying motionless at the bottom of the sewer. It seems that she fell on her head when they forcibly pushed her down the drain. Then it broke her neck and inflicted deep wounds that bled her face as a result of her violent collision with the concrete floor of the bottom of the drain. She was looking up with open eyes and there was a touching expression on her blood-covered face, as if she was saying to anyone who saw her, "What did I do wrong for you to do this to me?" The police came to the school and Carmen's body was taken out of the drain and handed over to her family, and it is strange that even in her burial, none of her colleagues came to console her parents, so as soon as the funeral ceremony ended, Carmen's parents sold their house and left forever that evil, sinful city. The investigators tried to find out why Carmen fell into the drain, and although many of the students saw the 5 girls pushing Carmen with all cruelty and barbarism into the drain, none of them unfortunately did not testify, which eventually led to the case being closed and registered as a predestination and everyone forgot what was the matter of Carmen and they resumed their lives normally. But only a few weeks passed since Carmen's death until Heidi, the leader of the 5 evil girls group, was exposed to death in the most horrific way when she was in the bathroom of her house, and her body was found in the drain, as we mentioned in detail in the introduction to the story, and it did not take long for her 4 colleagues to follow her in the same way. And if the matter stopped at this point, rumors say that the angry spirit of Carmen, or perhaps her wife, lived in the place where she was killed, that is, the sewers and sewage, and she is seeking revenge on all those who participated in her killing or saw or heard of the true cause of her death and did not speak, and that this angry spirit or wife travels through water pipes and pipes from one house to another in order to accomplish her revenge, and for this reason the series of disappearance and death of students and finding their bodies in the sewer continued even after the killing of the 5 girls. Dozens of students in that school died in this hideous way, forcing the city's education department to close the school completely. Not only that, it is said that all the bullying students who unjustly harm their colleagues and enjoy making fun of them may die in the same ugly way. They are sucked through the toilet pipes, and later their mutilated bodies are found in the drain with their faces completely flayed. So you have to be careful, dear reader, don't hurt your colleagues, don't make fun of them, and don't belittle them. But if you are one of those who enjoy doing these bad things, I advise you to avoid sitting on the toilet, whether your toilet is east or west, who knows which hand may extend for a while. Surprised through that little hole below you, pulling you in, and you end up in a filthy sewer full of sewage water.